I was asked this week to make a kit for a tween girl's birthday party. So her and her friends wanted to make some jewellery to celebrate her birthday. So I came up with an idea of making a necklace and a bracelet and a pair of earrings. And that's what I'm going to show you today. Hi, my name's Carol. Welcome to my channel where I show you how easy jewellery making can really be. Let's have a look at what you'll need to make this necklace, bracelet and earrings. And I'll walk you step by step through the process of making them. Links for everything you need to make this necklace, bracelet and earrings in the description box below. But if you want to make just the necklace or just the earrings or maybe just the bracelet, just adjust the quantities accordingly. So let's have a look. What I've got here in my little tray is 35 of these beaded rondelles. These ones are 5mm by 1mm. They're also called daisy spacer beads. These ones are Tibetan silver. I have 10 of these 6mm glass faceted round beads with they're clear with an AB finish. I've got 10 of these acrylic faceted round beads, 6mm, and I've got 10 of purple and of the lime. Now these ones actually come in a mix like this, so I just picked out the purple and the lime, but I didn't use the pink from this one because I wanted a smooth finish on the pink just to give some contrast. So I've got 10 6mm vacuum beads here, and these ones are pink with an AB finish. I've got 2 of my little butterfly charms because I know teenage girls love those charms. These ones are lilac and they are enamel coated. Alright, I've got 2 pieces of chain here, 18 centimeters long. This one's a 4 by 3mm twist cable chain. 2 ear wires, 3 6mm jump rings, 2 4mm jump rings, a 12mm lobster clasp. I've also got some glue, some 0.6mm elastic. I've got a needle, and you need to make sure that the needle, the elastic goes through the eye of the needle, and also that the needle goes through the beads. And it will go through the beads twice, so it needs to go through the beads with a little bit of room. I've also got some 20 gauge wire. I'm going to be using 2 pairs of chain nose pliers, a pair of flush cutters, and also a pair of round nose pliers, and I'll probably use a ruler as well just to measure out my wire as I cut it. Alright, so we're going to make the necklace first, so I'm going to move some stuff so that I have some room to move. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making the focal part of the necklace and the connectors for that. To do that, I'm going to take some wire. Now I'm going to measure off a piece about 3 centimeters long. First though, I'm going to cut my wire. I'm just going to trim it. If you can see that there, the end of my wire is not straight. So I'm going to take my flush cutters, and using the flush side of my cutters, not the indented side, I'm going to just trim off the barest tinge of that wire. And to do that, popping it through the flush cutters with the flush side facing me, or facing the wire, and I'm going to put my finger over the end so that it doesn't fly away, and just cut. And you can see there I cut off just a hair, and the reason I did that was so that I got a nice flat cut. And when I need a nice flat cut, so that when I do my loop, this end will sit nicely against the other end of the wire. Right, so having done that, I'm going to cut a piece 3 centimeters long. Once again, I'm using the flush side of my cutters. So just measuring, making sure it's about 3, and holding the end in my fingers there so it doesn't fly away. Okay, now I need to cut a few pieces of that, so I'll actually cut another one now while I'm in the process. Once again, I'm going to just trim off that little end. Actually, I'm going to trim the both of them because obviously I got a sharp end when I trimmed that, when I cut that. There we go, there's my little ends, and turn it round, and you can see I don't need my ruler anymore because I'm just measuring it off what I have. You just want them to be the same size. Okay. So I'll need to cut a few of those. I need 8 in total, but for now I'll only cut 2, and I will show you what I'm going to do next. So what I need to do is make a loop in one end of this wire, and I'm going to do that by taking the wire in my round nose pliers. Now you'll notice I have a mark on my round nose pliers. There's one there and there's one up here. Now the reason that that mark is there is I've actually scratched it there because that is a good size for my standard loop. And you could use a piece, if your pliers aren't dark like mine, if they're silver, you could use just a marker to mark that wire, that place. So it's a matter of trial and error to get the mark in the right place. Okay, so I've got the wire between the jaws of my round nose pliers, and I'm making sure that it's not sticking up. So when I run my finger across there, it's not sticking up. I can't feel it. And I'm going to just hold the wire between my finger, my forefinger there, and my thumb, and I'm going to twist my hand so that the wire curves around the the round nose pliers like that. And you can see that it's not closed, so I've twisted my hand back, and I'm going to rotate some more until the wire ends, the end of the wire touches this piece of the wire. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold that stem of the wire between my thumb and my forefinger again, kind of pushing my thumbnail into the spot where the other wire connects, and I'm going to rotate back a little bit. And the reason that I've done that is because, well, it's not quite right. I need to do it a little bit more. And you can see there I have a loop that is centered on that stem of wire, and that's what I'm after. So I'll just show you that again because I need to make another one anyway. So holding the wire between the jaws of the pliers, running your finger over to make sure it's not going to be sticking up, and twist around, readjust your pliers, twist some more, and pull back. And now I have another one. All right, so the first one I'm going to do is my pink one, and I'm just popping that on. Whoops, like that. Now I'm going to take my wire with my bead on it and pop my thumbnail on top of the bead, and I'm going to bend the wire over my thumbnail like that. Maybe not quite so far, so that I have a right angle. Now I'm going to take my round nose pliers and create a loop in the other end of the wire, just the same way as I did before. So this time I'm putting my thumbnail kind of into that corner there on top of the bead and pushing down and around all at the same time until it's nicely centered. I had some technical issues and my camera cut out, so I didn't manage to record the bit where I join these two together. So I'm going to do that now. Basically what I need to do is make one more of each of these. I also need to make two purple ones and 2 crystal ones, and they are joined together, pink, lime, crystal and purple, and I'll show you that in a minute, but right now I'm going to show you how to join them up. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking the loop of my pink one and the side that opens, and I am holding the bead between my thumb and my forefinger and the loop on the side with my chain nose pliers. What I'm doing now is twisting my hand down so that I'm twisting the loop up and opening it, and I'm just going to pop on that component and closing up that, just reversing the process there, making sure it's really well closed. So that's what I have. Now I'm going to come back when I have made all the components and joined them together. So now I've got my components all joined together and I have 4 of each bead. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to join them at the bottom. I just want to make sure that my loops on my components are going in the opposite direction. So I'm going to take my pliers and hold the bottom loop in the jaws of my pliers, and I'm just going to take the other side of that and just make sure they're at right angles there. Now the reason I'm doing that is so they sit nicely on the jump ring. Okay, now we're going to open a 4mm jump ring, and to do that I'm holding it on the side here with the split in the jump ring at the top. I'm going to take my other pair of pliers and hold it on the other side. Now I don't want to hold it like this. I want to hold it so it's well supported along the side, and the reason I'm doing that is so that I maintain that nice round shape. Now I'm twisting my hand down, and there's my open jump ring. Okay, I'm threading on my pink one. Actually, I might hold it in my pliers, sometimes that works better. Putting on my pink, one of my pink ones and the other pink one. Now I'm going to close up my jump ring just in exactly the same way, just reverse the process. Now if your jump ring doesn't close properly, what you do is you holding it between the pliers like that, you wiggle up and down and push your pliers together, and you will end up with a nicely closed jump ring. So that's what I have now. Now I'm going to add my little charm onto this one, and I'm going to do that with a 6mm jump ring. So same process, holding your jump ring between your pliers and twisting and finding that little 6mm jump ring and threading that on, and your little loop of your butterfly and closing it up. Oops. Sometimes when I'm closing a jump ring, I also squeeze it this way, and the reason I do that is just to double check that it's nicely lined up, and that one is. What's left to do now is to put the chain on, and I'm going to do that. I've got already pre-cut my chain, so I've got two pieces 18 centimeters long, and I'm going to take my pliers and open one of the loops on the end here. So just like we did before. Helps if you open the right side, doesn't it? Just like that, popping on your chain and closing up the loop. And it's a good time now, while you're opening and closing these loops, to double check that all of your loops are really well closed and that it's not going to come apart. Now I'm just going to repeat for the other side. All right, so all that's left to do now is pop on my lobster clasp. Now one thing to note with the lobster clasp is you need to figure out which side you open your lobster clasp with. If you're right-handed, you generally open it with your right hand. And so what I'm going to do is hold up my necklace to myself, the right way around, and I'm going to figure out which side I need to put the clasp on. So it's my right-hand side, so I'm going to just lay that down for a minute. I'm going to take my pliers and open my little 4mm jump ring. Now the reason I'm using a 4mm jump ring here and not a 6 is personal preference. I think that a 6mm one is a bit clunky for this type of situation, so I use a 4, but you could use a 6 if you wanted. So I've opened it, popping on my chain and popping on my clasp, and just going to close that up in exactly the same way. And just double checking it's closed. Okay, so that's what I have now. Whoops. Now I'm going to put a 6mm jump ring on the other end for the clasp to attach to. Same way, just holding it between my pliers and opening it, popping on the chain and closing. And double checking. Okay, so there's my necklace. stage one. Now I'm going to make the bracelet. And I'm actually going to put this example one here that I made before so that I can see the order in which I threaded the beads, because I didn't want to go, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I actually wanted to add some interest by switching it up a bit. I'm also going to take about 40 centimeters of my elastic and chop that off. Now the reason I need so much is because I'm actually going to go through my beads twice. As well as that, I will need a jump ring and my little charm. Okay, so I'm going to start at the top here with one of my purple beads. So just threading that on. And each bead has a spacer between. Okay, so I've done my first half and you'll see there that it matches, so that's always a good thing. Now what I have here at the bottom where I've put the charm on is I've actually got a double up of the beaded rondelles, and I'm not going to put my charm on until I finish my my bracelet, so I'm just going to put the extra rondelle on and basically reverse the pattern. Now I've got all my beads on, and you'll see I started with a purple acrylic bead and I finished with a beaded rondelle, and that makes the pattern correct so that where it joins it has a beaded rondelle between. So what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to thread my needle back through the beads the same way. So here's my tail, and I'm going to thread through from this end, just like that. Now you need to do this a couple of beads at a time because it is quite tight with the extra elastic in there, and just pull it up to a circle as you go. So a few at a time, all the way back through. Just be careful not to break your elastic. Alright, I'm back through all of my beads now. I'm going to remove my needle because I don't need that anymore. Now you have to be careful here when you pull this that you don't break the elastic, because it can break. It's not too tough. Just be a little aware. What I'm going to do next is tie a knot in the ends. So I'm going to basically cross the elastic and bring the end underneath like that. Just an overhand knot. And pull it down. Don't pull it too tight, but you want it to be tight but not too tight. You don't want to, as I said, break your elastic. The next knot I'm going to tie is the same, except I'm going to go over twice. And just gently pulling it up. Okay. And you can see, hopefully you can see the knot there. Now what I do is I actually glue my ends together and I pop them inside a bead, and the reason I do that is so that it will kind of glue inside the bead and it won't come undone. To do that, I'm actually going to use a little scrap piece of wire and my glue. Now I'm going to just take a dob of glue. My glue is quite firm, so it works quite well. It's actually got a, there we go. So I've got my glue on my little piece of wire here, and I'm going to go in and find my knot and stretch it out and go and put that glue on my knot. Just spread it out a bit. And now I'm going to chop off the ends. Now I know it looks like I've got a lot there, but it'll be fine. Okay, now the trick is to wiggle the beads around until that knot goes inside. And I did have a little bit too much, but I've wiped it off with my finger. Okay, so now you can see the knot is inside the beads. Okay, next I'm going to pop on the jump ring and the charm. So I'm going to do that. Just move that out of the way. I'm going to open my jump ring just like I did before. Pop on my charm. And now I'm going to find the place in my bracelet where I have a double up of the beaded rondelles, and holding my mouth right, I'm going to put the jump ring onto that spot. Wouldn't you know it, I got it in the wrong place. Right, now I'm going to close up my jump ring. All right, so there's my stretchy bracelet. So now we have our necklace and our bracelet. All that's left to do now is make my earrings, and I'm going to bring back my remaining beads to do that, and my ear wires, and I have here some wire. Now to make these earrings I need 5 centimeters of wire. So I'm going to take my wire and I'm going to measure it. And you can see there that that's 5 centimeters, and I'm going to cut it using the flush side of my cutters. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Basically you just want them both to be the same. Now before I cut the other one to match, I'm going to trim off that end, making sure it's nice and flat. Get rid of my little piece, and then cut them to the same size. Now I'm looking for the end that isn't flush, and I'm going to cut that piece off as well. So just a little wee trim on that one. Okay. Now you could use a head pin for this if you wanted to, rather than making a loop. It's up to you. Now I'm going to make a loop in the bottom, just exactly the same way as I did before. And I'm going to do the same thing at this one. Okay, so I now have 2 pieces of wire with a loop in them. Just going to give that one a bit of a squeeze. It's kind of sitting up a little bit. There we go. Now I'm going to thread on my beads, and I'm starting with my little spacers. Okay, so that's what I have, and I'm going to bend the wire over at the top. No, I'm not. I have to put it on another spacer. So that's what I have now. Now I'm going to bend the wire over at the top, just like that, and make a loop in the top. That's what I have now. And I'll do this exactly the same thing with the other one. Okay, now all I have to do is add my ear wire, and I'm going to do that by opening the loop of the ear wire. So when I open my loop, I can see that this side of my ear wire is the side that opens. So I'm going to put my pliers on that side of the loop, and I'm going to hold the rest of the earring between my thumb and my forefinger, and I'm just going to rotate my hand down so that it opens the loop. Now I'm going to pop on my top of my component here and close it up, and just repeat for the other one. Just make sure when you put your earrings onto your ear wires that you have them up the same way. So now we have our stretchy bracelet, and we have our necklace and our earrings. What do you think? Perfect for a tween girls' birthday party? I think so. I really hope that you've enjoyed this project today, and that you consider doing something like this for your tween's birthday party, or maybe you'll just make it for your tween, or they'll make it for themselves. If you have enjoyed it, it would be great if you could subscribe to my channel, like the video, and of course ring the bell so you'll be notified every time I upload a new project. Also check out our Facebook page and our Instagram. I'll leave links in the description below, as well as links to everything you need to make this project. Also, if you're interested in the necklace that I'm wearing today, I'll leave a link in the description for the tutorial for that one as well. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.